And we are live again. Hey.
Hello.
Today, we have yet another episode on our little podcast series, and of course, we later this month we're planning on tackling the worst animated movies of the last 10 years. Sup, right, dude? Time to talk about the man of the hour himself,
Butch Hartman.
I dreaded having to talk about this guy's name again on this stream.
Yeah, the man who, quote, created our childhoods.
What's it weighing clowny crowdy things? Should we? Oh boy, should we talk about a little bit of history on how this show came to be?
Yeah. So basically, back in the day, Butch Hartman, before Butch Hartman became involved with creating his own shows, he was actually a writer. He was actually initially a writer for shows like Dexter's Laboratory and Johnny Bravo.
And of
And
course,
and of course, there's the famous case of how the Fairly Odd Parents came into existence. There was an open slot for Oh Yeah cartoons.
So here's something about the Oh Yeah cartoons you may have not noticed. Yeah, they I never grew up during the 90s or 2000s era of Nickelodeon, but I did it wasn't until I got around to it until the 2010s. So yeah. And when I had the cable channels, I had Nicktoons, and on Nickelodeon, the Oh Yeah cartoon episodes didn't even air, but they did get a bit of an airing on Nicktoons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And to give our thoughts on the Oh Yeah cartoons, they were pretty good. You could tell it wasn't this was before we knew about what kind of character Vicky would end up becoming.
Mm-hmm.
And he remember there was of course the short where Timmy ended up cloning himself. I recall that one.
Apparently, the first short was actually reanimated in the actual show itself, and though I presume that they reanimated it because they probably didn't want to show any flashbacks to the first short, given that Timmy's voice actress was different back then.
Yep. Yeah. And of course, and of course, this show officially became a reality in 2001, which is
Yep.
which is finally hitting its 25th anniversary.
Yeah. And well, on that exact same day, not only did the Fairly Odd Parents premiere, but Invader Zim also premiered, which Nickelodeon trucked over majorly.
In favor of this show?
Well, apparently, I've heard that they basically canceled Invader Zim in favor of Super Duper Sumos.
Oh my god! Like what was so good about that show, Nickelodeon?
It does fit their. It does fit their brand to a T. Like the show, like the literal intro shows those sumos shaking their butts and stuff.
All right. So now that we give a little bit of history on how this show came to be, how did we get introduced to this show?
I don't remember exactly though. I remember watching this show a lot back in the day.
Yeah, same
Like
here.
back when it was actually good.
Yeah, unfortunately, I got around to this show around season 7, where that one ended up being my first episode exposure to this show. You know, back when I didn't have cable and I was actually at someone else's house.
Mm.
Yeah, and then it wasn't until I ended up getting cable where I ended up watching the entirety of this show. So basically, I have seen pretty much every single episode in the main series. Yeah. When I started watching this show in full was actually around 2014. Around season 9 was still airing.
And we all know what ended up resulting in the show getting renewed after season 14, season 9 ended.
Unfortunately, season 10 was the first season I ever watched the entire show in full. Oh boy, this is gonna be a wild ride. Oh, don't worry, Chase Studios. We will get to that when we get to the bottom 2 seasons of the series.
Yeah.
Trust me, it's gonna be a wild one talking about this show, especially because we have certain words to say about its creator.
Yeah. Yeah, the man who quote created our childhoods, even though the reason as to why his show ended up being good in the first place was because he had people around him to basically help. When he gained more control, we ended up getting things like season 10 or 9.
Or better yet, what he did to Danny Phantom. Because, spoiler alert, he didn't actually create that show.
I agree, Feather Guardian. Actually, at least in terms of Chloe, she would have been a better character if, they actually made her as miserable as Timmy. Like, make her character trait being that she ends up being too clumsy or has a hard time speaking to other people. Sparky is literally just them making the Itchy and Scratchy and Poochie show with no self-awareness.
And of course, like I said, we're going to be talking a bit about the stupid shit Butch Hartman has done before and after this show. Like, with Danny Phantom, like, the first 2 seasons were not done by him. They were actually done by 2 other people. And then season 3, once he got full control of that show, once they left, it was downhill from there.
Mm-hmm. And the same thing even applies to Fairly Odd Parents. Like the show was good because the show started off good because Butch had those who around him to help him. Like for instance, Steve Marmel and Steven Silver.
Yeah, like he had people around him to say no. Anyways, let's talk about the very first season, the one that started it all.
Mm-hmm. Admittedly, like as first seasons go, season one is a little rough around the edges.
Like,
I mean,
like one thing that's noticeable is some of the voices in the show, especially Cosmo.
yeah, his voice at the beginning of this show is a lot more pleasant compared to what happens later on in the show.
They just turned him into another SpongeBob in that department.
Meanwhile, at the beginning, his voice sounds a lot more pleasant on the ears.
Exactly. And yeah, one of the most noticeable aspects in the beginning is definitely how they treated Vicky at the start. Like Vicky wasn't really likable, but she wasn't at her most demented up to that point.
I mean, it's not like around this point we didn't get episodes like, say, a certain episode that basically says that Timmy needs to be tormented by her for her own purpose in life.
Yep.
Around that episode is around season 6, by the way.
Yeah, we'll get to that when we get to the later seasons. And we'll talk about the bad episodes of the first 5 seasons when we, wrap up season 5.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Yeah, Fairly Odd Parent, but for season 1, it was still good. And there were quite a few good episodes in that first season. Like there's of course the second episode of the series being Power Mad.
Yeah, basically being going into a video game type of episode.
And I'm always a sucker for those kinds of episodes in general, so it's no wonder why I ended up and like it's probably my favorite episode of that season. But yeah, let's see other episodes. Of course, there was of course the first special of the series being Christmas Every Day.
Oh, there's also the episode Dream Goat.
Yeah, it's an episode that definitely shows where Timmy's moral values are being tested. Like we see that Timmy actually has ends up we see like Timmy's moral values being tested because he becomes town hero for something that he sort of ended up doing. He mostly ended up freeing Chompy, but for his own sake because he clearly wanted to be out of there. But of course, Vicky gets framed for it.
Mm-hmm.
See, there was also, of course, Chin Up, which was the introduction of the Crimson Chin. You're going to see a lot of great characters from the first 5 seasons, as they would later on be forgotten.
Oh, there's also the same game, which is a classic. It basically shows why you can't have everyone looking the same, otherwise it'll be confusing to others.
Yep, and it also introduced Gilbert Gottfried into the show with Dr. Bender.
Yeah. We all know Gilbert Gottfried as the voice of the parrot in Aladdin.
Yep, like Gilbert Gottfried's pretty much a treasure, and of course, being the introduction to his character, he's practically a crooked, evil dentist. I don't know why I like him so much. Besides Gilbert Gottfried, like maybe he's just an accurate representation of evil doctors in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Oh yeah, there's of course Tiny Timmy, which was basically just Timmy going inside Vicky's body.
Yeah, it's basically the SpongeBob episode, Squidtastic Voyage, before that episode even existed.
And the last of the more notable episodes is definitely like one thing you'll notice throughout the series that this season does establish certain characters. It also introduced Mark Chang, who in this point in time was pretty much Timmy's nemesis. Before they would later become friends. And of course this also introduced Trixie, who would become, the love affection for Timmy. God, they really should have done more with her character.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Fundraiser. Yep, we're currently talking about season 1.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Talking about talking about some of the notable episodes as well as some things about that season from what we remember.
Though getting on to some of the weaker episodes real quick. I know that I'm pretty sure that a lot of people like the pilot episode, the first episode that they used to introduce the show to the audience, but I honestly don't think that the big problem should have been the first episode of the show. They probably should have saved it for a little later in the season and basically started off with the better introduction to the show.
Yeah, it's basically the episode where Timmy becomes a grown-up.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, and of course, it just isn't really all that interesting. Yeah, that's probably the weakest episode of this particular season. I mean, but aside from
there's also Dog's Day Afternoon, which basically has Vicky's dog get trucked over for little to no reason.
The dude's a dick, but come on, he didn't deserve to be neutered.
Mm-hmm. Granted, I take that over the other thing involving a dog getting fixed. Yep, fixed.
Oh God.
Season 1 introduced quite a few family characters, as it introduced Crimson Chin, Mark Chang, Trixie. Oh, and there's also Mr. Crocker, the main nemesis of the show himself, aside from Vicky.
Right.
He's voiced by he's voiced by the same voice actor who also voiced Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And of all the characters, heck, even in the later seasons, Mr. Crocker was probably the best character even during the later seasons.
Fairy godparents.
Mm-hmm.
Let's.
Though you may notice that season 1 is one of the shortest seasons of the series, given that it literally only had 7 episodes compared to the other seasons.
Well, technically, 13 episodes in total if we're going by segments.
Well, yeah. Although if I'm being honest, I think that they probably could have combined seasons 1 and 2 into season 1, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Yes. Like, yeah. Season 1 was definitely a good season to start the series off. And for a while, it would look like it would become the next big Nicktoon.
Mm-hmm.
But as we'll later see Nickelodeon basically did the exact same thing that they did to this show as they did with Rugrats early on, and they would later do to the Loud House.
Mm-hmm.
And that moves us to season 2. I mean, we could just generally say that the first 5 seasons were the best. I mean, that's really all you can really expect from us saying going forward. I mean, the first 5 and maybe 6 if I'm on a good day.
We all know the episode the most famous episode of the entire series is The Boy Who Would Be Queen.
Ah, yes, the episode that basically said "fuck stereotypes."
Until they basically went back on that a season later.
Oh my god! Yeah, it was definitely such a nice episode, and a nice episode for both Timmy and Trixie as a character, who we learn can actually like boyish stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously though, it's just such a shame that they completely fucked over this episode in future seasons, because they really did play their cards smart. Another classic in season 2 is definitely action packed. Basically, an episode that pretty much is just it's basically an entire episode in an action movie.
There's also Nectar of the Odds, which I'm gonna go ahead and say it right now. Is the SpongeBob episode Ink Lemonade done right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, because Timmy actually learns his lesson, and plus Cosmo isn't. Plus, the episode didn't get into gross out humor. This is how you do it, Ink Lemonade, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. There's also, of course, Deja Vu. You could arguably have it. This is probably one of the more creative plots in the show's history. Basically, Timmy basically wishes that the day would reset.
Mm-hmm.
One of the funniest moments in the show is seeing Timmy literally grade his father.
Mm-hmm.
There's also this famous running gag where the characters ask, where did you get all these nice things? Internet. Where did you get the internet?
They killed that joke so damn early. Oh yeah, there's also the episode where Timmy goes inside the internet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, looking over all the other episodes in season 2 that are also worth noting. Oh yeah, one joke in one episode is basically where Cosmo is afraid of Super Toilet.
And that episode, that's the episode where Timmy goes back in time to sabotage his dad from winning this trophy, and then in the future it causes this whole other thing with him becoming a dictator, and he goes back in time and it spawned that meme. And this is where I'd put this if I had one.
Yeah.
Yeah, despite what we think of him as a parent, or really just the parents in general, he was pretty funny early on. Although, considering what they're going to do to him later on, yeah.
Where did you get heat vision? Internet? Where did you get the internet?
Oh, by the way, Timmy's dad, Mr. Turner, he's voiced by Darren Norris, if I believe correctly. And Darren Norris did all the other voices. Like, it's hard to believe, like, okay, for context, there's this anime, Bastard. It got it readapted on Netflix, but there was an adaptation in the 90s. And he voiced the lead character. Darren Norris voiced the lead character in the title character in the original. So it's just funny.
Then again, there's this meme where Tony Sampson, the voice of Eddie from Ed, Edd n Eddy, he voiced this one character in this one anime, and in the comments section of that video, people are basically making comments about Eddie from Ed, Edd n Eddy going insane because he couldn't scam people for jawbreakers.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the more notable aspects of season 2 is that this was the season that pretty much introduced Chip Skylark into the show.
Mm-hmm.
My shiny teeth at me. Like, there's of course in season 2, his debut song was literally called Icky Vicky.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Admit it, that is
I
one of
remember
the
that joke in the Channel Chaser. What did you think that song was about? Pumpkins?
Like, seriously, they're like that's one of the greatest diss songs I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
ICKYVICKY. Admit it, you still listen to that song on your own time. Both one because it's just funny seeing Vicky finally get her karma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, but of course, there were of course, we gotta acknowledge a few of the weak episodes. You'll remember the episode that was literally pulled out of air from Nickelodeon? Twistery?
Pulled out of air?
Yeah.
Was
a pair of episodes with Twistery and Hail to the Chief. Both of them were pulled out of air from Nickelodeon for quite a few years. Like, the only time I was even able to catch an airing of this episode was on Nicktoons in 2018.
Oh. Huh.
Yeah. There's something that's weird about that. An episode that apparently got pulled out of air. I wonder why Twister got pulled out of air.
I think it's because of distasteful content or something.
I think it had to do with something about something being political, because this was a political episode for whatever reason. Like, it did bring us George W. Bush and George Washington. Yeah, they actually like, Timmy actually wished for presidents to come into America in his timeline. But yeah, so far the weakest episode in season 2 has to be the Switch glitch. Yeah, it was so good to see Vicky finally get her karma. Timmy finally giving her karma as a child, except apparently it's best us to think that Timmy's in the wrong.
Admittedly, Vicky was 5 years was turned into a 5-year-old in this episode, but I think that Timmy I think that that's kind of going both ways. Like, Vicky Vicky should treat Timmy the way that she wants to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like on one hand, a part of you wants to feel satisfied about Vicky finally getting karma with Timmy being her babysitter, but on the other, Timmy, that's a little bit cruel, don't you think?
Yeah.
Like, I could actually see the idea of Timmy babysitting Vicky. I actually see the concept of that working, but let's say that Timmy actually ended up wishing that Timmy was Vicky's babysitter for an episode.
Also, the episode "Foul Bald" is very generic.
Mm-hmm.
Those are for pack mules. Oh yeah, one other thing about this, and I think we kind of forgot about it in season 1, is that this was the introduction of Tootie.
Oh yeah.
Don't you just love stalkers in cartoons?
Absolutely not.
I really don't like these kinds of characters. Like, we have characters like Panini from Chowder.
I love Chowder, but the way that the show handled romance was the weakest aspect of it.
Right.
Yeah. And of course, and to name other stalkers that come to mind, and I'm only getting this because of your review of Rent a Girlfriend. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I really wouldn't want him to be with any of the three, but I guess if we had to choose which one would be a more fit for Timmy, I guess Trixie technically. Although
though Trixie doesn't really like him.
Yeah, unfortunately. Right. If you had to make an ideal ship of any of these three, which one would technically be it in your own headcanon version?
Trixie, though later on, as we'll see later, the show got rid of a lot of its characters.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken correctly, they only just replaced them with new characters that weren't that great.
Yeah, especially with Sparky and Chloe. Though thankfully Sparky did not appear in season 10 at all.
All right, yeah. Now we move on to season 3, which is, from what I heard, considered the best season of the show. Season 3 was a pretty important season for the series. For one, this was the first time they ever did a TV movie.
Mm-hmm. Abra Catastrophe.
Right.
Yep. Abra Catastrophe. Let's start off with that episode as one of the more notable episodes in season 3. Because that was the first time where things really got serious for the show. As we all learned that Timmy's parents have pretty much lied to his son.
Yeah, though they apparently, according to them, they decided to do all of this mainly because of the fact that they needed a break from watching over Timmy. Though if that was the case, why didn't they just introduce him to TV or something?
I'm willing to believe TV wasn't big during their period. Apparently, they're supposed to resemble kids during, I think their time they'd probably be like 80s people. I can't say 60s because that was, when Denzel Crocker was still there. But yeah. But yeah, this is what that was that was the one where Mr. Crocker was probably at his most villainous.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also the one where we got the first rendition of the theme song, bananas, 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 bananas.
Right.
Somehow that has more effort than the season 10 theme song.
Right, where that one went into self-parody territory.
Yeah, they literally spoiled the episode that you were about to watch.
Fairly Odd Primates.
Mm-hmm.
This is also the episode with this is also the season with That's Life, which I'll go ahead and say it. I can't believe that they ended up forgetting about this episode later on.
Right.
Yep, that little gerbil character. Like seriously though,
that gerbil alone is basically nightmare fuel for any unsuspecting viewer.
Yep.
Right.
And there was, of course, Shiny Teeth, which of course gave us the classic song, My Shiny Teeth and Me.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I touch dies!
Oh, Dinkleberg, aren't you going to come over here and give
oh,
my
right,
wife
I forgot about that meme. Dinkleberg! Which...
Yep. Oh, yeah. I don't know when
everything
his
on
hatred for
Dinkleberg.
Dinkleberg started. I think it was this season that introduced it.
Oh, there's also the secret origin of Denzel Crocker.
Yeah, I like that episode because it actually...
The episode that gave us Crocker's backstory. What they would later go out of their way to ruin in a future episode.
And it's also the cause of the meme. It's March 15th.
Yes, the day Ryan Krulewski's career died. Would you believe me? I say, when Ryan Krulewski ended up putting that meme, "Today is the day," only to find out that he got exposed.
Yeah, that post.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Other well-known episodes in let's look. Oh yeah, another episode is definitely Microphony, which is a weird episode to watch because Timmy basically becomes like a radio host to get the summer that he and his friends wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite bits is that you can't say moron on the radio. You can only say it on television.
Yeah.
Can you imagine imagine saying anyone saying moron on the radio?
I mean, I know that Mr. Horse would do that.
What would happen? What would happen if Mr. Horse ended up saying moron on the radio?
He'd get controversy.
Yeah.
Oh, look at what Chilvion sent in the chat.
Oh yeah,
Diaz Olberg.
Yep. Another episode is another notable episode is Pipe Down, which is basically the silent episode.
Yeah, there's that clip where Mr. Turner gets so angry to the point where he literally explodes because he can't hear himself talk.
Yep, I always love these kinds of episodes in cartoons where everything is either silent.
Yeah, this is a breath of fresh air because the further we go on, this series is going to have a problem when it comes to not knowing how to be silent because Cosmo's voice gets higher pitched along with flanderization.
Right.
Yep. And then let's see, another episode is that another part of story that always suckers me. That's always in this season is the noir storytelling. And Where's Wanda? I mean, you can't go wrong with noir-centered episodes and TV shows.
Right.
And the last of the more notably good episodes that come to mind is Imaginary Gary, which introduced us, well, Imaginary Gary. So, yeah, the work, season 3 is definitely a massive shakeup for the series.
Though it's the season where some of the weaker some of the more pressing issues start coming into play, like we basically foreshadowed a little bit ago, Love Struck.
Oh my god, that episode! Why? Why would you go back on everything that the boy who became queen established?
Right.
Exactly. This episode basically stereotypes all men as idiots and all women as smart.
God, I absolutely fucking hate this kind of storytelling. There's ways you can work around stereotypes. Heck, there's ways you can even work around this kind of premise and still have it work, as long as you either give some good logic and reasoning to why it's happening. But this episode, like that, let's try to put both genders down. And spoiler alert, they did not learn this lesson.
Oh boy!
Exactly, because this is a problem that the show has always had.
Like, trust me, you're gonna and much like what we said about the secret origin of Denzel Crocker, this is gonna come back to bite a future episode as well.
Exactly, and on top of the fact that this episode is basically stereotypes all men as idiots and all women as smart, there's also this episode also has a song number.
Oh boy.
As well as a line from Mrs. Turner that can offend any guy, where she goes all like, "You're useless, obsolete, and make messes. I'll call you Dad."
Excuse me for a second. Way to offend the male gender. Like, that's almost on par with saying, I don't act like other dragons. Not even close. But why would you want to, Spike? I wouldn't be surprised if FIM ended up taking inspiration from Love Struck. Although, thankfully, Friendship is Magic wouldn't go nearly as bad as this. That's how this show would end up doing it.
And other weaker episodes in this season include the episode Ruled Out, which ruled out.
Oh yeah, and personally, another least favorite episode from this season has to go to Snowbound. Yeah, great that way to take away the one time where Vicky showed any vulnerability, only to completely go back on that.
Right.
Not that it matters, because like already at the start, I had really no real reason to care about Vicky's survival. And I'm with Timmy. She absolutely deserved it. like that, like anytime, like between this and the Switch glitch and another episode in season 6, anytime they try to characterize Vicky as more than just an unlikable person, I don't care. Like, I feel more sympathy for Crocker than I do for Vicky.
Yes, I feel more sympathy for Crocker than Vicky. Vicky, she was the Chloe from Miraculous before Miraculous.
Like with Crocker, I actually feel way more sympathy for Crocker because, one, not just because I like him, although I really do, but because I know that deep down, like his life wouldn't be nearly as miserable if Timmy hadn't, been dumb, and Timmy or Cosmo haven't been dumb enough to indirectly reveal it on accident. And I'm referring to just this episode. Like I said, we'll be talking about that one later. Oh yeah, Cupid was voiced by SpongeBob in this series.
Yeah, he is. So this is the closest that we'll be getting to a crossover with SpongeBob, even though Steven Hillenburg's rule was that no show is allowed to have a crossover with SpongeBob.
That being said, I forgot to bring this up when I briefly mentioned Christmas Every Day. Valentine's Day always makes me sad because Timmy can't get a girlfriend.
I mean, the Valentine's episode in this show makes us way more than just sad.
Well, oh yeah, I remember seeing a few of the cutscenes for that game as well. Yeah, that's not like the other time we're ever going to see SpongeBob and Fairly OddParents ever have a crossover, which, funnily enough, as a kid, I've always wanted to see a crossover between these two shows at one point.
Yeah, I presume that the reason as to why Steven Hillenburg didn't want SpongeBob to have crossovers with any of the other Nicktoons shows was because he was worried that it might date the episode in particular, but the episode could be an episode of Fairly OddParents. Like, it doesn't have to specifically be part of SpongeBob's lineup. Like the Jimmy Timmy Power Hours, for example, count more as Fairly OddParents episodes rather than Jimmy Neutron episodes.
Right.
Yeah, but we'll get to that in the next season, which is season 4. Season 4 was definitely a season. Like this was the first of the 3 Jimmy Timmy Power Hour specials.
Though, if I'm being honest, I think that the second one is the best of the 3. The first was the second best, while the third one was the worst.
Right. I remember watching all 3 of those specials. I only watched them like maybe once, but never really had much ambition to watch them. But that's mostly because I never really cared for Jimmy Neutron as a kid. I never really got into that show. I don't know. There was just something about that show that puts me off.
The weakest aspect of Jimmy Neutron was definitely its animation, because it felt very dated, especially when later on even on Nickelodeon, there have been CGI cartoons that have had better animation than Jimmy Neutron. Like, for instance, the 2012 incarnation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
and to a lesser extent, I know this one's debatable, but it's hilarious, and I'll die on that hill. Back at the barnyard, that meme with that reveal with Weird Al is one of the biggest twists.
Yep. For whatever reason, I never really could find myself getting into Jimmy Neutron as a show. Part because of the animation kind of put me off. Like a part of me might want to now give it a chance at some point. But yeah.
Yeah. Although at least though for the most part, the reason as to why the characters don't look as off-putting in Jimmy Neutron is because they were from that show in particular. But when they have characters that weren't from Jimmy Neutron go into that show's world, they look incredibly disturbing.
Right.
That being said, May Sheen rest in peace.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a shame that I'm gonna go ahead and say this right now. There is no Tooth Fairy, there is no Easter Bunny, and there is no Planet Sheen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was the first most important episode of the series. And let's look at some other notable episodes of the series that come to mind in terms of favorites. Oh yeah,
the one everyone agrees
with. I was about to mention that Channel Chasers.
Mm-hmm.
What most?
Yeah. Like if the show if the show didn't have as many if this was a season 5 episode, this would have been the perfect way to cap off the show entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Like still to this day, most people see this as the end of the show, and for good reason. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Wishology. More on that when we talk about season 6. But still, like, Channel Chasers, it just feels more like a closing ender for the franchise in general.
Mm-hmm.
That ending of the ending of this episode reminds me of the end of the Owl House in particular.
Like, yeah, we finally see Timmy as an adult, and of course he finally grows up. But before that moment, there's a lot of other things to love. Like, I love the little parody references they were doing through when Timmy goes through many channels.
Yeah, it even got up to the point where they reference The Simpsons, even though to be honest, they probably should have had the characters be yellow in that parody in particular. Though I think that they did that because of copyright or something.
Yeah, like they referenced a lot of it. They referenced the Peanuts. They referenced Scooby-Doo. Like
even Rugrats.
Yep, as well as Fat Albert. Yeah, there's this episode references a lot, and furthermore, this episode is the episode where it feels like everything has almost come together. Like how Timmy's parents finally realized that Vicky is a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And for once, Tootie was actually helpful.
Yeah, and not to mention either another notable TV movie in particular is School's Out the Musical.
It also came out this season. Oh yeah, it did. That was definitely as someone who enjoys musicals, this was definitely one of them. Like, for one,
the music in this show is really good.
Yeah, and it's definitely at its best in this episode as well. Like, season 4 was definitely the season of TV movies. It kind of pushed the waters in season 3, but in season 4 they really upped their game with this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like some of my favorites include like the one in the opening that starts it all off, where everyone's finally out of school for the summer, as well as Hey Flappy Bob, like, where's the fun?
Mm-hmm.
that was great.
I've seen bits of the Drake Bell movies.
Though a trend that you'll be seeing that you've seen so far with seasons 3, 4, and 5 is that they have that one particular infamous episode, and season 4 is especially a notable case of this. The most infamous episode of this entire season is just the two of us.
Oh God!
Oh right.
The one that nearly tanked Trixie's character. Oh my God!
Basically, they characterized her as only being functional when other people are paying attention to her.
What the hell? A part of me was like seriously though, what the hell? Yeah, another. Let's see. Aside from just the two of us, there's also the bad case of diarrhea, which kind of had the opposite issue of the switch glitch. Like it's similar to the switch glitch, but unlike that episode where you could argue Timmy was being cruel, this one he really is not being cruel in this episode at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like
and there's also the episode Babyface where Timmy's parents basically drop him off at a place with a bunch of kids that would basically kill him.
Yeah,
right.
And yeah, that what kind of parents are you? But yeah, and as well as when getting back to the bad case of diarrhea, like it tries to make Timmy as in the wrong for like using Vicky's secrets against her, but in actuality, considering that what Vicky did earlier, my sympathy does not go back to her at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so no, this episode really did, like, it isn't real. Timmy is not as cruel as this episode thinks he is. But I'll say this, it's not the worst episode about diaries.
Little Yellow Book.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, the last of the more beloved episodes is the big superhero wish.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. That's the episode with that iconic ending where the Nega Chin basically goes into the real world and basically has a word with the storyboard artists of the episode. By the way, there's also this one other meme that is so funny out of context where Crocker goes all like, the Nega Chin, the Crimson Chin's arch enemy.
Yeah, and then they're all, wait, how do you know so much about him? And then he's all, I pilfered a lot of comic books.
Yep. Other aspects in season 4, it was the introduction of Dark Laser.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, take a guess what he's meant to be a reference to.
Darth Vader.
And and I'm gonna say it, Dark Laser might be one of my favorite side characters in the series. Like, one, because of parody, and two, because I just find him entertaining.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention this during season. I don't know if Catman was introduced in seasons 2 or 3, but yeah, he's voiced by TV's Adam West.
Where? Just kidding. I do that for the fans.
Like,
yeah. They're clearly taking a lot of influence from the Adam West Batman.
Yeah, one of the more running gags is that Adam West thinks that he is Catman.
Right.
But yeah, one other aspect is that around this or the last season, Mark Chang is finally on good terms with Timmy.
Yep.
And apparently, one episode that is either in this season or next season, it's revealed that Mark Channing has his own stalker.
Yup. And man died.
Yep. Shame. Dark Lasers. Yep, there's, of course, Butch Hartman's self-insert.
Dr. Rip Studwell.
Though I will say this, there was this very satisfying moment when he got hit in the head with a golf club by Wanda or something.
Yeah,
and when he got burned by a dragon.
Which hit
yeah, there was an endless
like
loop
when
of that scene. I would totally watch it.
When I was younger, I didn't realize that Dr. Rip Studwell was a self-insert of Butch Hartman.
Me neither. But yeah, rewatching the show now, it actually hits differently. Since I don't know, I guess watching Dr. Rip Studwell be in pain is obviously cathartic. Because that's how we feel about Bitch Heartless.
Yeah.
I defy you, Heartman.
All right. Now we move on to season 5 for what was considered to be the supposed last good season of the series.
Oh yeah. This is the season. Getting this right out of the way. This is the season with the most infamous episode of the entire show.
Let's go over a few of the weak episodes first in this case, because trust me, I think we need a little bit of positivity at the end.
Yeah.
Let's start with the big, most infamous episode during the first 5 seasons of the series.
It's a Wishful Life.
Oh boy, even Butch Hartman hates that episode.
You want to know how bad this episode is?
Apparently, this episode was pulled from airing for a few years.
And even more so is that Butch Hartman had to actually apologize for this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Too bad he didn't learn from it.
Right.
Trust me, you're gonna see you're gonna see an episode in season 6 with this problem as well. Where do we start with this abomination?
So this episode is basically a parody of It's a Wonderful Life, it somehow does it in a worse way.
Yep, this episode confirms that Timmy really that the world was better off if Timmy was never born. I'm not kidding. The minute he literally says, I wish I was never born, the world is suddenly better off without him and made the world a better place.
And some of these things don't even make sense. Like, how is Timmy responsible for AJ's hair being gone?
Or I'm pretty sure Francis, that's his name of the bully. I'm pretty sure Francis was already a bully long before he met Timmy.
Or better yet, how about the fact that Vicky is suddenly helpful at a dentist? I'm pretty sure that's not the only kid she babysat.
Yeah. Missed opportunity here. No, we didn't see how Tootie is infected by No Timmy. You know, the girl that is obsessed with Timmy.
By the way, in this episode, going back to the problem that we pointed out with Lovestruck, this episode basically it has an insulting it is basically insulting to men, because instead of having a male as their son, Mr. and Mrs. Turner have a female, and they end up being more wealthy because of it.
On one hand, at one point in the series they were expecting a daughter, but at the same time, why? Like the only one of these timelines that kind of makes sense on why on his life actually being made better is Crocker. Yeah, Crocker's the only one here that actually does make sense in this case. If given what we know in the secret origin of Denzel Crocker.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could see I could see the idea of Crocker actually becoming a well-known teacher, not just because it fits with what was established with his character, but it actually does kind of make sense in a way.
Mm-hmm. Because without Timmy, he wouldn't suspect that fairies actually exist.
Like that's probably the one that actually makes sense. But here, yeah, I am not kidding when I say that there was even a point where Timmy is literally gonna be sent to hell.
Yeah, it literally looks like hell.
Like in a kids show, no less. Oh boy!
Like Timmy, all Timmy wanted was to be appreciated in this episode.
And instead, he practically gets shit on. Like, all Timmy wanted to do is get appreciated for the good deeds he does for his friends and his family. But, here's some of the stupid bullshit that they pull. Apparently, AJ practically rejects Timmy's kind notion because, well, the model that Timmy got him for the computer was outdated because only seconds after they released the fucking knob. First of all, who the hell literally has computers with knobs on them? It doesn't even work.
And not to mention either, computers don't go immediately out of date because a new one comes out. Fun fact, new consoles come out all the time. That doesn't mean that they're immediately going to stop making games for it because of the fact that that console is out. PS4 games were still being made when the PlayStation 5 came out.
Yeah,
and there's still some there are actually some new games for the original Switch coming out despite the Switch 2 being released.
And even more so, there was of course Timmy's parents, which literally shunned him because they were planning to do a worst lawn they were in the worst lawn competition.
Despite the fact that I don't think that Timmy knew about this.
Yeah, maybe they could have told him, hey, we're doing a worst lawn competition.
This episode was so bad that Butch Hartman actually had to apologize for this. Think about that.
Though, as we'll see in season 6 and 7, he didn't actually learn from this.
And considering what we know about Butch Hartman, and considering that he almost never apologizes for any of his other incidents, should really tell you what kind of person he is. But of course, another weak episode in season 5 is actually the sister episode to this garbage.
Timmy's 2D House of Horror.
Basically
another episode that tortures Timmy.
Wouldn't be surprised if some of the writers of SpongeBob got inspired to do Squidward torture from watching Timmy torture.
Though the Squidward torture started around the time when this episode came out. Good Neighbors came out not too long after this episode.
Yep.
Of course, there is debate when Squidward torture actually started because, there's the case that episode, jellyfishing, where Squidward is in a full body cast for just making a snarky comment and slapping a jellyfish. when he's done much worse things. And apparently it was so popular that they, as you point out, that they remade it into another episode, except he's just trapped in cement.
Yep. And let's see, the last of the week episodes in season 5 was No Substitute for Crazy, which is definitely an episode that kind of gives unfortunate implications. That apparently, hey, Crocker may be an abusive ass, but it could always be worse with a substitute. Yeah, I can't be the only one who knows some unfortunate implications in that one. That being said, season 5 did have its plethora of good and even great episodes.
Well, there's the second Jimmy Timmy Power Hour episode.
Yep. What? Yeah. And the one where pretty much where Timmy and Jimmy fight over Cindy. There was also, of course, The Good Old Days.
A throwback to retro cartoons, and apparently parodied, and they apparently did a parody of Captain Planet.
Yep. Like this was just a perfect little tribute to retro cartoons, and it's honestly just kind of a sad that we never saw Pappy in this show ever again after it.
Yeah, he's honestly a much better babysitter than Vicky.
Right.
Let's see. There's also, of course, Presto Changeo, which was basically the body swap episode.
That I actually think that episode was somewhat funny, though. Yeah, it was kind of funny.
Yeah, let's see. Other episodes in... Yeah, let's see. Oh, yes! Funny how one of them actually brought up an episode of this series. The Timmy's Brother episode. This guy was voiced by frickin' Nick Wilde. Let's see. Let's see what other good. Oh yeah, Escape from Unwished Islands is another great episode, which has practically callbacks to previous episodes. Like this episode has the return of multiple of Timmy's bad wishes in this series.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and oh, by the way, can we talk about the We Hate Timmy Club? I'm pretty sure, there should be we should have a hate club for certain people.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Horse.
Yeah. Oh, there's also the Trolls Fan Brat.
Yep. Let's see, what other episodes in season 5 can we remember that we ended up liking? Yeah, there's also Birthday Wish, which was probably one of the most nicest things Timmy ever done for a purse for Tootie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame that things only went downhill from here, considering what we ended up seeing from Lights Out, where she literally knocks Timmy out with an oar.
More on that later. But yeah, one thing I will say is that it makes considering that Vicky treats Tootie like shit as well, it kind of makes the question: why did she never get fairy godparents?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because of the quote unquote fairy shortage, though we'll be getting to that later.
Tootie would actually be if you want to have if there was any character besides Timmy who was genuinely deserving of godparents, it has to be Tootie. Like, for one,
Right.
as well as Chester.
Like,
Right.
I'm surprised they never got theirs. Like, I could have, because here's one thing about the rules. Like, here's one thing about the rules that most people often forget. You can't wish for true love.
Yeah, like Remy Bugs Plenty got his fairy godparent.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like I could actually see the idea of Tootie having some fairy godparents, because considering that Vicky literally is a horrible person towards her, and by extension her family as well, considering that they're pretty much afraid of her.
And like Timmy already has 2 fairy godparents, and as we'll see in a little bit, he ends up having 3 now.
Yeah, the last of the good episodes, in my opinion, has got to be Hassel in the Castle. Like,
Yeah. It's literally implied that Cosmo and Wanda were used by this for genocide.
and you wonder why they ended up and you wonder why they are now why those kids are now in the Hall of Infamy. Like, for God's sakes, Crocker is literally in the Hall of Fame, even in spite of the fact that about what Crocker does to them as an adult. But yeah, season 5 was definitely what most people consider to be the last good season, because trust me, it's all downhill from there.
Yeah, I'm gonna get this out of the way before we continue. I don't hate Poof. It's not that he was a terrible character. Like, the way that he was used in the show is what people have a problem with. Like, he gets so much better in A New Wish.
Yeah, I have yet to see A New Wish, but I heard it was actually good.
Yeah, like, Poof is a character that he was all right for what he was. Like, he definitely.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a baby.
Like, yeah. Plus, he did have his moments and did have some good episodes here and there. So it's not like Poof was entirely what killed the show. In fact, I'd actually argue that season 6 gets a bit too much hate than it really deserves. Like,
season 6 is the season where with the episode is the season with the episode Wishology.
Like that episode alone, like, season 6 can't be bad just for that one in particular. Like, that alone, it makes season 6 worthwhile on its own. But yeah, I'd also be lying if I also said that season 6 also didn't have its own set of problems, which would end up getting worse later on. Like, but before we get to that, let's get into a little bit of history. Like, this show was actually canceled for quite a while and was actually put on hiatus.
Yeah, the last episode aired was on November 25th, 2006. There were no new episodes in 2007 at all.
So it made us wonder: did the show finally get canceled, or was there something going on behind the scenes?
And apparently, the Butch Hartman was actually planning on introducing a baby for Cosmo and Wanda in a potential movie, which never came to be.
Oh, by the way, yeah, like funny enough, 2006, he was actually involved with that Dougal movie, apparently. And we all know how that movie turned out.
Yeah, the movie that constantly told pop culture references as a joke, as if people would roll on the floor laughing.
It doesn't. Pop culture references themselves don't make them funny. You have to have more to them.
Yep. And between this and what was to come, I think we might as well take that Dougal movie as a good sign for what we're going to see with our Butch Hartman that we know and hate.
Yeah. Starting in the other half of Fairly Odd Parents, there's an ever growing issue that Fairly Odd Parents has started to grow for itself. It's overuse of running gags per episode.
Oh yeah,
running gags themselves are fine in themselves, but when the entire season, at times, the entire joke should just be running. The joke should just be running gags themselves.
One episode called Wishy Washy. In one episode called Wishy Washy, the one running gag that is run into the ground real fast is the characters going all like "Peace out, yo."
Yep. And of course, it was the start of, and then the obvious, and then the opposite happens.
Yeah, though the show did have this in its early seasons as well. For instance, in the episode Foul Bald, Timmy says that we'll never run behind, and then in the very next scene, the other team has as many score points as them.
Yep. With season 6. There was also a noticeable change in the animation quality, where things are more brighter compared to the earlier seasons. And spoiler alert, the animation is going to get a lot worse in future seasons.
Yeah, especially when the show moved over to Nicktoons.
Yeah, but yeah, season 6 was a season where I will say and be fair, season 6 did at least try to keep the momentum of the previous 5 seasons before it. Like, we weren't at the point where characters were going to be non-existent forever. Up until, I guess, 7 or 8 was where the majority of the characters that we knew and loved from the previous seasons are no longer existent. But most times they would either get maybe one, but I will acknowledge that there were some good episodes in season 6 that made it this one of the least bad seasons of the series.
The most notable one being the Wishology trilogy.
Fun fact about this one: this and Truth or Square came out in 2009.
This basically trumps Truth or Square, as in it's much better than Truth or Square.
Yeah, and one other thing is that both this and Truth or Square and Wishology were both released in their 6 seasons, and it was the first time both of their respective shows went into HD.
Heck, the first part of this trilogy actually aired on SpongeBob's 10th anniversary.
Yep. There's so aside from Channel Chasers, this would be the other episode that would definitely be a good cap off to the series.
Other than a specific episode that we'll be seeing in season 8.
Yeah, of the ones, if I had to take the one that would work, where Fairly Odd Parents would definitely be a better way to end, aside from Channel Chasers, it's also this one, because there's a lot that actually does scream epic in this one. There's a lot to love about it.
There's basically the kiss joke. A lot of franchises like to basically pay tribute to that band.
Kiss, which, Gene's another bit of money from Gene Simmons.
Yep, and this one had multiple references to other trilogies. It referenced Lord of the Rings, it referenced The Matrix. let's see, and it referenced Harry Potter, like, and yeah, at the beginning, that was some neat references towards Timmy being the chosen one character. Like, and of course, this is probably the one Fairly Odd Parents episode that had practically every single character in it. Like,
though this is one of the last notable times that we'll be seeing some of these characters, especially Trixie,
as well as Chester and AJ as well. Like it's honestly not like for the one time probably the first major instance where the fairies actually meet the human characters in the series. It was actually kind of neat of all things. And yeah, like other aspects I love about this 3-part episode was the fact that this is probably the last time they ever showed some real stakes in the series. As of course, the Eliminators are a reference to Terminator. And yeah, and of course, there's Turbo Thunder, voiced by none other than Brendan Fraser.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this is definitely one of those episodes that were on multiple times I rewatched it. I almost always find something to love about it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not to say season 6 didn't have other good episodes outside of Wishology. Let's see. The other notable season 6. Wait, which one do you have?
There's OddPirates.
Yep. And one of mine goes to Mission Responsible. For being like the first poof-centered episode after the premiere, they definitely started off well.
Mm-hmm. As the series goes on, Poof ends up being shoved more to the side.
Yep. Let's see. Other good episodes include Odd Squad. Y'all know what this was meant to be a reference of. Yeah.
Odd Squad.
And of course, yeah, let's see. Other notable episodes in this season. Yeah, there's of course Cheese and Crockers, which is definitely one that for whatever reason I only recently remembered it.
The episode that has a lot of cheese puns.
Oh, yes. But of course, this is where the bad episodes really started to show. Like with seasons 3 and 4 and 5 had their infamous episode. Season 6 was the start of a handful of them.
Yeah. One of them being the first notable one being Merry Wishmas, which basically completely undoes a lot of what we were led to believe about in Christmas Every Day.
Wait, you mentioned Merry Wishmas?
Yeah.
That one. Now I remember. The one episode that tries to make the kids that basically thinks that the kids are being unreasonable brats because they're getting literally shitty Christmas presents.
Despite the fact that that Santa is the one who messed up the presents.
Look at some of these presents. Who would give their kids a fucking trash can?
Exactly, and there's also the fact that that Santa gave Timmy a shovel and Mr. Turner the sled that Timmy wanted, which he thought was firewood.
Timmy is not being an ungrateful brat. He's actually within reason to feel this way. Like,
and so are the other kids.
like, could you imagine if your Christmas was like that? You'd practically stop believing in Santa after that.
But no. According to Santa, Timmy is ungrateful because of this. Despite the fact that he's the one who messed up the presents.
Like, the only good thing to come out of that episode was the song.
There's also and of course we have another case of an infamous episode. Vicky gets fired.
Oh boy!
Wait, did we already do this before?
Channel.
Yeah, I'm referring to
It's basically the amalgamation of Channel Chasers and It's a Wishful Life combined. Whereas this episode basically confirms that the only thing that's stopping Vicky from taking over the world is Timmy, and he just has to accept the abuse from her.
This is literally the exact same thing that we got from It's a Wishful Life.
I told you he didn't learn a single thing from that episode. Yeah, great.
Yeah, and as we'll see next season, there's another case of Butch not learning from It's a Wishful Life.
Like, yeah, like seriously though, Vicky literally becomes the president and it becomes a terrorist. Basically becomes a queen for whatever reason. And it doesn't even give us the satisfaction of seeing Vicky get fired for a legit reason, because no joke, she gets fired not because she was torturing Timmy, but because she fucking tape recorded for their audition. Great parents, guys.
Yeah, they literally saw all of the stuff that Vicky did to Timmy, and they don't bat an eye to it. But them taping over her taping over their interview was the final straw for them.
Yep, another one of this season's worst episodes. Got to go to Open Wide and say ah.
Oh, look at what Childian said in the chat. Zadie gets fired.
Out of a cannon into a volcano. But seriously though, like, back to Open Wide and say, well, here's a little bit of an unfun fact for me. For many years, I was afraid of doctors. So you could tell my joy that this episode really did affirm my fears of those places. Like, I never liked going to the doctor, especially to get shots, because they hurt.
I hate bad. Needles.
Yep. And something until January 2015, back when I had a fractured arm, I ended up getting tonsils, infection on my tonsils. And when I found out, I literally got reminders of this episode. And I was worried that I was going to get my throat slipped out, that they were going to cut my throat just to remove my tonsils out. Thankfully, that didn't happen. Yeah. But the fact that this episode ended up leaving some trauma on me and affirmed my fear of doctors should really tell you something. And even as an episode on its own, it's still really unfunny to sit through. First off, this is basically a Timmy gets tortured episode. Like Timmy, all they could have done is wrote a note and said, "I have tonsils, please poof them out." But no, we gotta drag it out, and of course, Vicky becomes a doctor.
We literally last season just had an episode that basically had a scenario of what it would be like if Vicky worked for something else, like working for the dentist, for instance.
Yep, and guess what this hospital is? It's basically a place to murder people. What? Yeah. So yeah, this episode really did affirm my fear for doctors. It's not even a good episode on its own outside of that. And yeah, let's see. Another infamous episode in this season is Super Poo. So yeah, that episode is basically where Timmy's parents discover what Poof, but and they're not really, but it's in the form of the. But of course, they end up favoring him over Timmy.
Jeez.
Yeah. Season 6 was definitely a season of lows, but there were some respectable highs that at least balance it out.
Yeah, compared to what we're going to get in seasons 9 and 10, this one is the most bearable season.
Now we move on to season 7, which introduced us to Foop.
Foop.
Oh, by the way, we haven't brought up the anti-fairy so far.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the anti-fairies.
Yeah, because of Foop's presence, the anti-fairies got pushed to the side.
It's kind of weird that he's voiced by Eric Bauza.
The same guy who ended up as the voice of Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck.
But yeah, how do we feel about Foop as a character? Well, he's certainly.
He's not a bad addition. All fairies have their own anti-counterparts, but the show started favoriting Foop way too much in these later seasons, to the point where the anti-fairies kept on getting pushed to the side, just like a lot of the other side characters.
Yep. Like, I'm not gonna act like Foop. It doesn't have his occasional moments of being enjoyable, because, for what it's worth, there are instances where he is. But at the same time, yeah, he ended up being more of a detriment to what for previous characters. But yeah, that's one instance of season 7. I feel like season 7 is now the start of characters that we've previously known ended up being side shafted permanently.
And also
right.
Season 7 is also the season where we started getting some of the more infamous episodes.
Let's get some of the bad ones out of the way.
One episode that I always hated was Formula for Disaster.
Wait, you've hated that one?
It's the episode where where Mr. and Mrs. Turner are actually glad to send Timmy to military school.
Yeah, like really though, like of all, like it just, like these later seasons really do, like, if we already didn't see it before that they were already pretty bad parents, but or at least flawed ones. These later seasons really do put emphasis on how bad they are as parents.
Yeah. Timmy has to go through insane lengths in order to not get sent over to military school.
Right. Hold on this. I'm going to set the table now and empty the dishwasher. I'll be back.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
Right, you finish?
One of Mr. Crocker's lines in this episode was him wanting to stuff Timmy in a bag
in front of his parents.
Uh-huh.
S-tier parenting, am I right?
Yeah, though this isn't the last time that we'll see Mr. and Mrs. Turner at their worst in this season alone.
Well, yeah, another infamous episode is Lights Out.
Oh, God. This is the episode where this episode is how not to do an episode of a show. Like, this is literally just eyeballs on a black screen for 11 minutes.
The sad part is that I actually could have seen this episode work. Like, no, seriously, an episode in the darkness could have actually worked. But
it's just that they did it so wrong. They did it in the worst way possible because this episode barely has any animation.
Like if it had just tried to like dim it up a little, like even though it makes sure that everything is in the dark, but we're able to see the animation that's on screen, we could have maybe this could have worked. Or
I mean, SpongeBob does that all the time.
Like, I guarantee you that someone better try to make a reanimation of this episode, like using the audio, but try to make it look like actual animation was happening, having it take place in the dark.
Yeah, the more you go through this episode, the more you realize the reason as to why this episode is in the dark. Like, there are some moments that there are some jokes that feel extremely out of place for Fairly OddParents standards. Like, it's literally said that Mr. Turner is naked throughout this episode.
And of course, Mr. Crocker wears meat underpants.
And he gets his eyes ripped out.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, it's also going to get more funnier than it sounds. It's probably it's not unintentionally. But spoiler alert, the reason why everything has to be in the dark was because, of course, because they needed, because Moana needed to teach Timmy a lesson about scaring poo.
Oh yeah, that. You guys do know that children do get scared a lot, right?
And of course, this was probably I don't know, the last time we'll ever see Tootie in this show.
And she's at her worst in this episode because she literally decides to knock Timmy out with an oar.
So congratulations. On top of no animation in this episode, this plot was pretty much dead on arrival.
Oh, there's also Crocker Shocker, which basically retcons the entire plot of the secret the secret origin of Denzel Crocker.
Ah, yes, an episode that basically says that the fairy world can only function if Crocker is still obsessed with them.
Despite the fact that it's one of the fundamental rules that nobody is allowed to know about fairies.
Yeah, if we could have had a status quo change where Crocker is happy, but no, they couldn't let that happen, could they?
Yeah. And there's also Farm Pit, which is another case of the Turner parents being at their worst.
Oh boy, seriously, they're who would want to live on a farm?
Exactly. And there's literally a sequence where Timmy basically says that he'll get back to Cosmo and Wanda if he hops in the tornado, or he gets his flesh ripped off of his body and says that it's a win-win.
Oh boy, let's see. Oh boy,
Did you? Yeah, another case of Butch not learning from It's a Wishful Life.
Of course, another episode that I hate in this season is Playdate of Doom. The one where Wanda is at her worst. Take a guess what this kind of plot is.
Oh, is it the one where Poof ends up getting blamed for all of Foop's antics?
Yup. You remember that infamous episode of Pal for Gary?
Yeah, I remember that one.
That's basically this episode. The only reason that's really keeping it from being worse is that at the very bare minimum, at least Wanda realizes her mistake, whereas SpongeBob never did. Like, that's the only thing that's keeping it above that Pal for Gary. Although that's a low bar, so like throughout the episode, like, why would they believe that Foop is changed? Like, why would Wanda actually believe that?
I mean, he's literally called Foop and is an anti-fairy for a reason.
Let's see. Now, another episode one of the last few I outright disliked was Frenemy Mine, which was basically where Vicky stalks Timmy.
Oh yeah, that episode. That episode was literally just a ripoff of Vicky loses her icky.
Except if it was bad, and of course, like Sissy, though, like the idea of Vicky actually being helpful on being a nicer to Timmy would have worked, like of her own volition, not wished out. But instead,
I gotta mute myself for a second.
See a commercial break.
I'm back. I was just getting my food because my mom got supper done.
Sorry, I'm back.
Okay.
Back to Frenemy Mine.
Yeah.
I could have seen this episode working, but no, they had to make Vicky a creepy stalker instead. But yeah, season 7 really had some bad ones. But there were some good ones. We'll acknowledge those.
A fan favorite from this season is Food Fight. Not to be confused, not to be confused with the infamous 2012 movie of the same name.
Yeah, like one of those times where we actually see a moment where Timmy shows a real appreciation for whatever his mom makes. But
and Mr. Turner gets comeuppance throughout this entire episode as well.
Yep. And another fan favorite from season 7 is is Bad Hair Day. Let's be honest, this is probably the last time they ever treated Crocker like a 3-dimensional character.
Mm-hmm. and like and ironically and like this was and yeah, that's actually true because this episode one of the episodes that aired after this one was Crocker Shocker.
Yep, I would like to say that like it was just nice to see Crocker actually bond with Pooh. Like he doesn't even question the fact that he was a fairy. Like all because he just really wanted to have a son of his own. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, and yeah, and of course, Timmy does get a bit of his own comeuppance for taking Poof to the park.
Hello, I'm back.
Yep,
What did I miss?
Hello.
We're currently on season 7. Currently highlighting
Season
some of the good episodes in this season.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just
Yeah.
kind of an
two episodes that we discussed already are two fan favorites, Bad Hair Day as well as Food Fight.
Right. Food Fight was actually a good episode. No relation to the movie of the same name.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see what's another episode in season 7 that most of us consider good from what we remember. Oh yeah, there was also the last episode in this season, Operation Dinkelberg. Like, I love how Dinkelberg was actually able to play a more villainous role and still actually be in character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The ironic part the ironic part of this is that season 8 it actually feels more like the specials should have been in season 7 instead of its own season.
Yep. And of course, let's see. I'm trying to go off of looking up the episodes that I can remember saying, yeah, that was a good episode in that season. Yeah. Oh yeah, Flyboy. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that episode is a parody of the B movie of the same name.
Yep. And of course, there's also, to me, Old Man and the C Minus, which is probably the last time we'll ever see Timmy Turner's dad actually be treated like a character. A character who unfortunately ended up flunking school because he was told that he was too cool for it, finding an idiot's philosophy. And when it finally comes back to bite him in the ass years later, he actually does try to make an effort, only to relapse and then finally realize why he's in this position.
It's mainly because of peer pressure.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's practically a lot of the season 7's highs and lows of that particular season. Which moves us to a bit of season 8, as well as what happened in between. Before season 9, of course. There was, of course, season 8. Which was basically...
apparently the show was just about ready to be canceled around the end of season 8, like after all the episodes aired. Similar to what happened between seasons 5 and 6, there was a huge gap, but the show was renewed at the last second.
Yep. That leaves us with season 8, which was only filled of 5 episodes, or rather 5 specials. Mm-hmm. And because we can't name a bunch of notable in that department, let's look at every other episode. Let's look at all 5 episodes in this season, starting with, of course, Love Triangle.
Oh boy.
This was apparently supposed to be a backdoor pilot to a spinoff that revolved around Poof.
And spoiler alert, it wasn't even good enough for that. as this episode is, of course, Love Triangle. And it wasn't very interesting to begin with.
Poof and Foop are way too young to be thinking about love.
Yep. And the rest of the episode doesn't really have much going for it. The worst one is Timmy's secret wish.
Oh, good God.
Oh, boy.
First off, this was the one that officially killed the TV movies, if we're not counting the live action ones. This was the final one, and this one killed it.
So apparently, Timmy made a secret wish that wasn't even documented.
How does that even make sense? And also, great job on assassinating Timmy's character by revealing that. Now I have no sympathy for him.
Also, good job ruining. Good job retconning what he learned at the end of Channel Chasers.
Like of all the TV movies, this is undeniably the worst one, without question. Even Fairly Odd Baby had moments of genuine enjoyment. And at least that episode you can somewhat justify its existence.
This was the episode that began the downfall of the show. With
season 6 and 7, you kind of felt it that there were signs of rot, but at least there were enough good to salvage it. Whatever was salvageable in this show, nope, it immediately stopped being salvageable after this one.
The only bit of salvageable things that we did end up getting was Meet the OddParents.
Yep. But even that, if I was new watching the show back as a kid, I would have been more than glad to quit the show after this.
Uh-huh.
Maybe if I was watching the show from the beginning as a kid, if I had reached either a teenager or adult, I would have quit this series on just this episode.
Because this is the episode. This episode basically it makes zero sense from conception.
And felt like the episode has anything else to make up for it. Half the episode is in a courtroom. How is that interesting?
No, it's not. And then when the universe gets reset, we basically have to linger on old people jokes.
A part of me wants to say that the one good thing this episode has is that at least you know what? No, I can't even say that's even the one good thing this episode has. It doesn't Crocker can't save it. Crimson Chan can't save it. Dark Laser can't save it. Nothing. Oh yeah, speaking of it, we ended up getting that episode this season as well with Attack of the Losers, which actually aired on my birthday. And yeah, we also got a sequel episode in this season with Invasion of the Dads. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention there was a bit of a story arc between the dad clones from season 7 to 9.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, there was Meet the OddParents,
which should have been the series finale.
Sure. I would have still said that the show would have been unsalvageable at that point, but at the same time, at least it would have ended the show with dignity.
Instead of what we ended up getting in seasons 9 and 10.
Yep, I actually like seeing Timmy's parents and Cosmo and Wanda interact with each other for an episode. I mean, we got that with Wishology, but this one's definitely another one candidate. But yeah,
apparently the show was supposed to be canceled after this because after this episode there was a very large gap. December 29th, 2011 and March 23rd, 2013.
What we got in between 2012 in that time was, of course, the live-action movies.
Oh, boy.
Before we get to move on to season 9, let's talk about those for a bit.
They completely contradict the entire purpose of the show.
I've only seen bits and pieces of them, but
I wish I was Drake Bell.
Also, I mean, I understand things with this, but there was this one joke, in the promo that aged poorly. I wish I was Drake Bell.
That aged poorly.
Stuff that happened, yeah.
Yep, I guess the one good thing I remember of these movies is the relationship between Timmy and Tootie. Yeah, I can't believe I'm actually kept that coming out of my mouth. But yeah, the one thing you can say about these live action movies is that you can at least interpret them as non-canon and see them as their own thing.
Right.
Maybe on their own, they're at least they're kind of whatever. But if you're treating this as part of the continuity of this series, no, absolutely not. How I would view them is that if you watch them separately from the main show and just judge them as their own thing, they're fine for what they are. But by Fairly OddParents standards, no, it does not match at all.
Yeah, one rule of Fairly OddParents is that once you turn 18, you will lose your fairies.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, Timmy still has his fairies even as an adult.
And not to mention either, he's still going to he's still in elementary school.
Ugh.
Really, one thing I like about the live action movies is definitely Crocker.
Yeah. I did see that bit with Crocker who, yeah, he did a real good job. Let me see the actor for him. David Lewis was the actor for him. He actually did a good job and pulled off a good impression. Yep. David Lewis, that was the name of the actor.
He really, and of course, from what I remember about Fairly Odd Summer, yes, I remember a bit of that film. Boop was in it, I guess see the CGI for. Oh yeah, let's talk about the CGI for the designs for the fairies and of course. Are they that bad?
I mean, I remember them being ugly, but there's also another live action Fairly OddParents.
We'll get more into that when we get to the end. But that just leaves us with the bottom seasons. The worst of the worst. Get ready for a lot of ranting.
So, this season 9 introduces Sparky. He's basically just just Poochie from Itchy and Scratchy. It's just the Itchy and Scratchy and Poochie show without any sort of self-awareness.
Or basically, Cosmo duplicated it, and this one turned into a dog.
You know what? Say what you will about Poof and Foop. At least with Poof, at least he was a natural progression towards the story of the show. And because, of course, Poof exists, of course, there had to be an anti-fairy version of him at some point. So, at least you could say at least had a reason to exist. At least it had made somewhat a bit of sense. Sparky, on the other hand, what reason would anyone want this guy on the show?
nobody. Why would you even want him in the show? And it's literally implied that Sparky had human owners.
This world is things are. I'm starting to question this world.
Yup, this was the season where any semblance of logic and rules that were established, boom, gone.
Sparky buried their wands, but how did you poof the home back to the surface if he buried your wands?
And it's like, and Sparky isn't even a good character in his own right, because on his own, he's just pretty bland.
And he's also annoying. I want this shoe toy.
Since, you know, of all the characters, Sparky is probably the most worthless character in the series.
Yeah, he's so worthless that the show in season 10 wrote him out entirely.
Yup. And of course, let's talk about the fact that we're now finally in HD. And
admittedly, the animation in season 9 and the first portion of season 10 actually doesn't look too bad.
But we'll talk about that in a bit. And of course, you would think that that like seriously though, like 23rd, like this was the time where SpongeBob also went into HD as well.
Mm-hmm.
Though that was before the second movie came out, and the show changed step, and they actually knew what they were doing.
Yup. And boy, did season 9 was like really bad, and funnily and sadly, this was the first season I was actually around for, like maybe around the end of season 9, but still, because wow, season 9 might have some like 9 and 10 has a competition for some of the worst episodes of the series. What, like
Fairly Odd Pet being one of them.
The one that forever pretty much solidified, that practically said, yeah, we stopped trying at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It introduced Sparky. That's a sin in of itself. And other awful episodes include Desperate Without Housewives. You know, Love Struck 2.0.
Oh, God.
You would think that Butch would have learned from Love Struck to not make another episode like that. But if he didn't learn from It's a Wishful Life, he sure as shit didn't learn from Love Struck. Like, this episode portrays men as stupid or useless.
And also, this is this show in the season 9 finale. They literally introduced Anti-Sparky. We're not going to be seeing him for long because Sparky got written out of the show as soon as this season ended.
Only for there to be another
Rip Bozo.
Another character.
Like says it, like man's worst friends is all kinds of stupid. And of course, there's the worst one in my opinion. Let sleeper dogs lie.
Oh. And also there's the episode Finding Emo.
Oh boy, what did this episode rip off?
The episode where Timmy wishes that he didn't have any emotions.
And also good to know that Trixie no longer exists. And back to, of course, Let Sleepers Dogs Lie. They went out of their way to maliciously ruin the secret origin of Denzel Crocker.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, though, like that episode apparently states that that Crocker lost his fairies because he was turning 11. Jesus Christ. Can we get channel chasers here?
Ugh.
And apparently he was always a jerk.
Mm-hmm. And like if Cosmo's voice wasn't already getting more intolerable by beforehand, it certainly is in this season. Like there's there are multiple sequences in this season alone in the episode Finding Emo where he goes all like tractor, the nuclear reactor, tractor. Yeah, that won't make your ears bleed in the slightest.
How is that funny? Like other terrible season 9 episodes that can come to mind is Scary God Couple, which literally has Boop end up being a godparent towards Vicky. How does this make sense?
Ugh.
There's a reason why anti-fairies never get god kids. Like, Jesus Christ. There were so many other episodes this season that were so bad. Oh yeah, an episode that pretty much ruined the flushing joke. Catman becomes Ratman. Although I will say this, I know who I want to flush. Who would you want to flush down the toilet? I'd be more than glad to flush Mr. Horse.
I would be glad to flush the witch.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are the ones that immediately come to mind when we think season 9 is bad. Like, oh, let's see, another one is definitely App Trap. It kind of feels condescending towards its viewers. Like Sparky, we need to go back before technology existed. A time before fun. Like the 90s. Got it.
And not to mention either, this just shows how overbloated that the cast has gotten.
Mm-hmm.
Like in this episode alone, we have 5 characters.
Oh, and while we're at it, funny how I brought up App Trap. That's just because that line is borderline insulting because A, there was technology during the 90s, and B, technology existed in the 90s, and Timmy got his godparents in the 90s. Oh, by the way, episode, go fuck yourself for literally referencing SpongeBob in this universe like this.
And that's another problem that Fairly Odd Parents was having by this point. The Fairly Odd Parents started in the early 2000s, and yet they're referencing a bunch of modern technology.
Like I'm not kidding. Like, they really wanted to make sure that you know that they finally made it into the 2010s.
Like, at least with SpongeBob, as late as season 10, they did not do any of this stuff. Like, whenever they did reference technology, it was usually like timeless technology. Like, there was literally an episode where SpongeBob basically used a VHS to try and record an episode of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, but it wasn't using any sort of modern technology like a DVR or a phone or something.
Like seriously though, like the only time I think they ever referenced modern technology, which was cringe by the way, was when SpongeBob said I can't demand them anymore.
Yeah, that was really cringe-inducing, but yeah, the only other times in which I can say that SpongeBob did reference modern technology was during commercials with this weird flash animation, but that was Nickelodeon to blame for that, not the show itself.
Right.
Like there was of course the episode which was like Viral Vintage might be the worst offender, being the episode that pretty much proves that this show really made it into really dated itself badly in the 2010s. Like I am not even like an entire episode where it's basically just them like trying to make YouTube, basically referencing YouTube. Trust me, I wish we were more kinder to this season, but trust me, there's a reason why we don't like this season by any stretch. But I will acknowledge, of the 2 seasons, season 9 has the better episode quality. Not enough to save it, but just a few that do at least make it less painful to watch.
Some of the episodes included are more forgettable than rather than being downright unwatchable.
Yeah, like any episode this season that wasn't unwatchable was just really forgettable at worst. But season 9 does have a couple of bright spots. There was of course Cosmonopoly, which was one, I'm a fan of Monopoly, and 2, I thought we played Monopoly, and 2, it was just kind of a sweet episode in general. Like, it really does show how much Cosmo does value Wanda, as he did base it off the marriage he had with her. And it did have some fun moments. Let's see. There was also let's see another season 9 gem. That really goes to Perfect Nightmare, which is basically an episode where Timmy's family tries to be the perfect family, and it just ends up being hell for them. Let's see. There was, of course, other good episodes in this season goes to Dimsdale Tales, which really does them telling stories in a campfire, which were entertaining for what they were. Speaking of which, there was also Fairly Odd Tales, which is basically their version of fairy tales. And then, of course, there's the Fairy Beginning, which was the episode that gave us a bit of a backstory into Cosmo and Wanda, as well as how we learn about some of the other fairies during that school period. At least that's from what I remember. I remember liking those episodes more. But otherwise, yeah, there really wasn't much of this season that was good.
But season 9 is still a vast improvement compared to what we get in season 10.
We are not mincing words when we say this, folks. Out of all the shows we have covered so far, like excluding Tom and Jerry and the Shrek franchise, of all the seasons we've talked about so far, like even season 7 of SpongeBob and season 8 of Friendship is Magic cannot hold a candle to season 10 of Fairly Odd Parents. We're not even saying sugarcoating this one. Season 10 is the worst season of not just this show, but of any show we have ever seen.
So let's start off with the obvious issue with this season: the inclusion of Chloe. Chloe could have honestly worked if they actually gave her a flaw with her, like if they wrote her as a clumsy character or a character that struggles to speak, thus making her miserable, I wouldn't mind. But they made her a perfect character that can do no wrong. Like, her only flaw, no joke, just involves her screaming.
Yes, we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that later when we rip this season a new one. Okay, so yeah, let's start with Chloe. She's a non-character.
She doesn't have any flaws about her, but they still give her fairy godparents.
So and get this bullshit. It's because of a fairy shortage.
That's literal nonsense. And plus, Chloe does not have anything wrong with her. She's perfect. There's no reason to give her fairy godparents.
And for the record, if you have such a shortage, get other fairy godparents to be god kids. I'm sure there are some that exist.
Take for instance, Poof.
Mm-hmm.
They did try to do that in season 9 with an episode called Fairly Old Parent. But yeah, this was the season where if there was no confirmation that practically all the characters we loved are gone, this was the one that really said it. Here's the problem with that, if I'm going to be honest. Whatever flaws that does get established with her don't matter, nor does it affect her character in any way. Like a fair short. What is this? And of course, I need to rant about how much they fucked over the intro.
Timmy is still an average kid. And it goes into self-parody territory. Like, if you told me that this was a parody, I would have believed it.
And plus, it spoils the episode that we are about to watch because this is used at the beginning of the season 10 premiere.
Oh boy! And do I need to talk about how bad the intro is? Like, look at what they did in the voice department when they were singing for the intro. Like, you can tell they were not stitched well at all.
And of course, this is also the episode, the season where they trucked over the animation a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy!
In the first half of the season, the animation actually looks is still pretty good, but when they switched over to Flash, no, it went downhill fast.
Seriously though, this was the last half of season 10 was animated at Elliott Animation. They did Total Drama.
Which Total Drama can be fun. Plan to check out Camp. But Total Drama also overstayed its welcome.
And my God, the first time I ever saw this show in Flash, I wanted to die. I am not kidding. I saw this. I still remember having the Nicktoons channel, and as soon as I saw one episode of this particular season that we're gonna call the worst episode of the series, I immediately Ken, put this show out of its misery.
And thankfully, this was the final season. Of the show.
And Michael, let's the animation in the Flash animation is so bad. It's so lifeless.
And not to mention either, it's too floaty. It's too floaty and smooth to the point where it actually makes the gags fall flat.
Yep. And let's talk about what they did to some of the characters, or rather, particularly what this season did to Mr. Turner himself. He appears a lot in this season.
It almost seems like he's supposed to be Sparky's replacement because of the fact that he appears alongside the other characters.
And whatever character or nuance he actually had left, they killed him in this season. I swear. The only jokes they ever make with him is that he's stupid.
I'm not joking when I say this. Mrs. Turner, in one episode that we'll be getting to, has him on a leash, and he has a dinosaur hat.
And oh my god, like whatever good humor happened, none. Like
to put this into perspective, this season 10 was airing at the same time when Bunsen is a Beast was first coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And furthermore, season 10 of Fairly OddParents was still what ended up coming out when season 9 was almost about to end. As they were getting the last few episodes of season 9 into airing before season 10 would happen in October 2016. You know, back in just the second half of the 2010s, people were saying, which show was having a worse decline, SpongeBob or the Fairly OddParents?
Fairly OddParents.
The answer is obviously Fairly OddParents.
But now, with just the second half alone, this was like season 10 was drowned. Was like Fairly OddParents was now drowning, where SpongeBob was starting to improve.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
it got so bad that Fairly OddParents actually moved over to Nicktoons.
Basically, the Grave Channel.
Mm-hmm.
It's the channel where Nicktoons go to die.
Like you could tell, Nickelodeon did not want this show anymore. They knew it was bad news at this point.
Around the time when season 10 started airing, Nickelodeon found another golden goose of theirs that they could basically milk before that show started going downhill as well. The Loud House.
Yep.
Right.
Like I don't know if we should even be thankful that the Loud House was what got this show canned.
Right.
Especially considering the fact that around season 5 of the Loud House, that's when that show started majorly declining.
And yeah, like with places that are like, and oh boy, this has like when episodes of this season were bad, they were
really bad.
Like somehow they managed to make season 9 its worst episodes look like they were written by Spielberg. Let's talk about the worst episode of the entire series.
Certifiable Super Sitter.
Certifiable Super Shitter.
No, it does not get to keep David the shit.
So, this episode starts off with Cosmo repeating the exact same joke 5 times. And you want to know how many times that they do this in the span of whatever minute?
How many?
1. They do it 5 times in 1 minute.
Say goodbye.
Oh yeah, where Cosmo can't even remember his own son.
Yeah. Yeah, he thinks that Timmy is Poof, then thinks that Chloe is Poof, then thinks that a kangaroo is poof, then thinks that a balloon is poof, and then thinks that a picture is poof.
And then, oh, by the way, and that's not the only running joke this episode likes to beat. Apparently, they think that the whole shrimp on the Bobby part was funny the first time. They kill whatever joke was funny, which wasn't to begin with. They beat the hell out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This episode has everything wrong with the Fairly Odd Parents as a whole. The story is non-existent, for one.
And Chloe, and there's also a ton of references that are literally just there because you got to reference something. The poof literally references Donald Trump.
Dude, look at this. This is how low they fucking sunk. I am not.
And there's also the aforementioned joke with Mr. Turner being treated as disabled.
Look at this. They thought this was funny. And knowing what we know about the man now, it makes this worse in hindsight.
Yeah.
That's literally that's how overbloated the cast has gotten. Now they're at the point where they either wrote Sparky out entirely, or they're waiting until certain episodes to basically introduce Chloe to the other characters.
Oh my god! This episode is it is filled with too many characters. And there are so much illogical, stupid bullshit this episode pulls.
Vicky has a portable trap door that has a Saw reference.
For kids.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I'm going to show you this image, and please explain to me what's wrong with this.
So many rules broken in one screenshot.
Yeah, this screenshot alone is everything wrong with the later seasons of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, first of all, how in the blue fuck is Timmy's dad afraid of her? You mean to tell me?
Also, in Channel Chasers, when he found out that Vicky was doing things to Timmy, they fired her on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And also, the fairies are out in the open.
Wasn't one of the rules in the show apparently says if you reveal your fairies in the public space, you lose them? How does Vicky not question that there are fairies in front of her? And of course, we have the running moment of Foop being afraid of Vicky.
But we are only on the 7th layer of hell.
The word and the fact, and that's not even the worst thing about this episode. It's the fact that this episode has Chloe not shutting up.
Yeah.
My guy, this you can tell Butch just stopped trying at this point. Finally, how they both came out in 2016. This is an abortion of an episode. Like between us, like this is an abortion. I am surprised this was allowed to be seen through.
But then again, this was around the time when Nickelodeon just stopped caring about Fairly Odd Parents.
There were so many other bad episodes in this season that come to mind. And yes, I am going to include that Bunsen is a Beast crossover here as well. Hey, it was a crossover with an already terrible show. I gotta drag its feet to the fire as well.
The Jimmy Timmy Power Hour, this one is not.
Mm-hmm.
And also, once again, yet another rule that they practically broke. How can Cosmo even know Bunsen in the first place? Yeah.
Are you seriously trying to say, like, Butch? Is this you acknowledging that Bunsen is a Beast is just ripping off every single other show of yours?
And furthermore, this episode also has Timmy's dad. Because they haven't had enough of him yet. Oh my god. Like, seriously though, Timmy is somehow still allowed. Timmy's dad was somehow still allowed to interact with Cosmo.
Yeah, there are multiple episodes in this season alone where they constantly break their rules. There's one episode called FairyCon where he basically talks directly to Cosmo and Wanda while he was wielding a fridge.
And not like in their disguised form or anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he literally says, "Hide, weird kids with wings."
Yeah, like it's not like that episode, when they pretended, Cosmo and Wanda pretend to be other people to to hang out with the Turner, Mr. and Mrs. Turner, or when they would pose as like animals or objects near them. Those two gasping mice are right, Timmy.
Yep, and there are so many other bad episodes this season. Whether they tried to rip off previous episodes as well.
And it's not just Mr. Turner that they basically ruined. They turned Timmy into a brat.
God, like this season really hates Timmy, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like you could tell that Timmy does not even want to be in these episodes. And honestly,
there are more. And on top of Chloe, there are also other characters that this season decided to introduce. They literally gave Crocker a nephew.
Somehow, the first episode he started ended up being one of the more tolerable ones. But yeah, like there was other major problems with this season, and trust me, and other bad episodes that come to mind. And how did this season end?
Not with a bang, but a whimper.
Like, there were 2 episodes that you can't even call a finale to this show. Fancy Smancy in production order, and the Kale Patch Caper in airing order. Both of which were pathetic ways to end the series, by the way.
Yeah, Kale Patch Caper ends with Mr. Turner being an idiot once again.
And of course, this is literally the last time how they aired this show. The last time they aired an episode, and this is how the last time how they ended it. Look at this bullshit. See that face?
Oh God.
Oh man.
This is how they end Timmy's arc in the show.
Cross-dressing.
And look at this. But don't worry, Fancy Schmancy wasn't much better either. As that episode, one, Weird Al jokes, you get a sin. And even more so, this episode tries to act like Chloe and Timmy had a deeper bond because they're having a friend anniversary.
Yeah, Timmy, you wanted to get away from Chloe in Chloe's introduction episode. What are you even talking about?
Like, oh boy, that is certainly certainly how we want to end this series. Like, totally want to, like, yeah, totally go against what the point of their introduction episode. And yeah, I could talk more about the many atrocious episodes of this season. And trust me, there are a lot of them. Like, I had to watch all these groaners literally back in 2017. But if we have to acknowledge that there were good episodes in this season, or at least ones that don't make me want to pull my hair out in fury, should we even pull out the good episode card?
I mean, if we were to name off tolerable episodes, we might as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's just look at the tolerable ones, the ones that at the very least felt like there was an attempt to be good.
One of them is May or May Not.
Basically, the closest to Timmy's dad actually being treated like a character.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess if I were to go off another episode in season 10 I didn't end up hating, I guess there was Croc in the house. I don't know. It was just kind of a nice episode seeing Crocker actually be happy for once. Like, I just kind of like seeing, like, that's probably the one of those times season 10 was actually tolerable. And I guess chip off the old cross that introduced his nephew, which, it was fine for what it was. But yeah, those episodes aside that aren't god-awful, like, at best, they can only be tolerable. And when it comes to bad episodes, they can range from boring, and at their worst, they become an act that makes you want to kick the TV on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, would you want to kick your TV watching any one of these episodes?
Absolutely. I wouldn't necessarily want to kick my TV because my mom paid money for that. But yeah, these episodes are really that bad.
And yeah, and season 10 was so bad that they couldn't even that on the Nickelodeon official airings, the last time this show aired on Nickelodeon was on April of 2018. And they only aired them in the mornings. On the weekdays. It's almost like
That's really telling.
Like, that's the only time they ever got aired on the Nickelodeon channel.
Mm-hmm.
And that is literally how Fairly Odd Parents ended. And we all know who is to blame for that.
Butch Hartman.
The man, Butch Hartman, in light of what you've done to this series, you've done so much to earn our hate towards you.
Mm-hmm.
Whether if it's the O-Axis thing or a garden cartoon movie, the greatest thing ever, or even your comments towards Tara Strong regarding suicide.
Right.
And of course, him saying that he can cure autism.
You know what, Butch Hartman, as being someone who has autism, I'm going to say this to you. This is for you.
Hold on.
Wait. Autism is not a disease.
Mm-hmm.
Look, Butch Hartman may not be as bad as other Nickelodeon creators. I mean,
Like Chris Savino, or John Kay, or
Dan Schneider.
or Dan Schneider.
Which, I mean, the evidence is not in Dan Schneider's favor, and there's a lot of sus stuff.
for as much as we hate Butch Hartman and what he's done in general, he is nowhere near that level of awful. At least he isn't a predator or an abuser. But what he is? A fucking idiot.
Mm-hmm.
And a malicious one at that.
And not to and on top of that, the fact that he basically took all the credit for what Steve Marmel and Steven Silver did, it just infuriates me to no end. Like, Butch, you are no better than the executives of Nickelodeon.
Mm-hmm.
And
those executives, like Butch Hartman, basically trucked over innocent people.
Nickelodeon's over attempt to milk the Fairly Odd Parents while it was still dry was definitely caused its downfall. The fact that Butch was able to get more and more control of his show, which led to worse and worse decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently the Fairly Odd Parents almost got canceled like 5 times.
Right.
And you would think that season 10 would be the final nail in the coffin for this series.
Pretty much when the corpse was buried, he decided to dig up and do more with it.
A show that was so bad that I couldn't even watch half an episode.
I was only able to get through one episode, and ugh.
Fairly Odder.
A single episode, it felt like watching a marathon of bad movies after bad movies after bad movies. In fact, I'm going to say it. I'd rather watch the Emoji Movie 10 times over watching this episode, like the episode I watched 1,000 times. I would rather watch the Emoji Movie over that. Because it was just an assault on the senses.
Fairly Odder managed to top season 10 and having some of the worst Flash animation that you'll ever see.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me started on the laugh track, which played many Nickcoms. I tried to watch one episode, half an episode, I wanted to quit.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, because this is Fairly Odd Parents, they decide to return to and then the opposite happens jokes.
Seriously though, I do not remember one thing about this episode, but what I do know is the hate it got. How bad was it? Well, Paramount Plus ended up removing this.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. And regardless of how good that A New Wish was, I can guarantee that the reception on Fairly Odder was so bad that it ended up bringing that negative backlash over to A New Wish when it was first announced.
Right.
Yeah, like Fairly Oddly was awful. I could not stomach it in just half of an episode. That's when you know, like, and I was able to stomach every episode of Santa Inc.
What was it? Every episode of what again?
Like what? Like I stopped.
Oh,
after-
season. Oh, right.
Yeah, like I somehow was able to watch every episode of Santa Inc. and yet I couldn't suffer this one.
Sometime I dread the day when I have to watch this in its entirety. I mean, if I ever watch two. But hey, if I could get through season 4 of the Boondocks, I can get through other things.
Like, keep in mind, I survived Santa Inc. You survived season 4 of the Boondocks, and Sean survived Rent a Girlfriend.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
But we couldn't even survive this show.
Like that's how bad that this was. Paramount even considers this a mistake.
And of course, Butch Hartman was involved.
Of course he was.
Mm-hmm.
As if my hatred for this fuckhead wasn't enough.
I heard people say like that at this point, he's just trolling people. Like he's just trolling his detractors. He knows that we'll hate watch him. And yeah.
One of the biggest problems that anyone can notice about this show right off the bat is the animation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I watched one clip of it and I asked myself, is this a joke? Are you trying to make me go to Nickelodeon and kick Butch Hartman in the teeth? I would love to literally scream at Butch Hartman saying to herself, what the fuck are you doing? I'm pretty sure all of us would be doing that as well.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, and of course, because of how bad this show was, whatever future this show had was long past dead.
Mm-hmm.
However, then came one part of this show that basically said, no. I haven't seen this series, but I've heard nothing but good things of this show.
A New Wish.
I heard it was good, and I plan to check it out at some point.
I also plan to check it out as well after hearing the positive word of mouth of this show. Like, I was just ready to dismiss it altogether.
Yeah, like I was all, what's the point? The show. But apparently, even people like who said, yeah, this is the worst, they praised this one.
Apparently, the animation alone is enough to basically is enough to be worth a watch. Apparently, the people who were involved in the Peanuts movie were also involved in this.
And one good thing is that Butch Hartman was thankfully not involved with this one.
Mm-hmm. My guess is that he was only credited for legal reasons.
Yep.
Or if he was involved, his involvement was limited.
Yeah, I've seen a few clips of this show, and I already want to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
The best part of the best part, and I'm glad that they did this, but they managed to fix Poof.
Yeah, like
they managed to make him work.
Granted, I didn't hate Pooh from the start because, he was just a baby character and he could work, but Sparky and Chloe, no.
Oh, by the way, this show even acknowledges that they were a mistake.
Just like the Beverly Hills Top 4 acknowledged that the third one sucked.
Mm-hmm. But with the in this show, apparently, Poof was inspired by Cosmo, a bit with his hairstyle and the voice.
Yep, his new name is Perry. And of course, this day we brought back Foop, which, yeah, like they managed to reinvent him and managed to make him like practically lovable again, or at least a character you like to some extent.
Also, they did something that you wish that season 10 would have done. They made the godchild, the child that Cosmo and Wanda have, actually have a flaw with herself.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, while we're on the topic on Hazel, let's address that idiot in this stream as well.
Asker. Hazel is not a black version of Timmy Turner at all.
Exactly. They're drastically different characters. Oh, by the way, your video was trash. Like, can we all agree Asker's video on reboots were trash?
Yeah, that video was bad. Yeah, there are a lot of problems with shows like Teen Titans Go, Powerpuff Girls 2016, and Ben 10 2017, but them not being like the originals was not the problem with those shows.
Yep. And oh, by the way, the fact that you decided to literally continue on the whole Stephen Hillenburg, the Stephen Hillenburg grave bullshit. You know, the ones who still keep spreading those rumors around in 2024.
Oh, and there's also that blackwashed Family Guy intro that he did in his original video. Which why?
Like, that was not funny. That was racist. Like what? Like, he regurgitated every talking point of the Teen Titans Go haters, and even some of the anti-woke mob.
Also, you never seen Cyborg as a black character. I mean, there's literally an episode where he's basically understanding towards Starfire's feelings because he's part cyborg. And not to mention either, Static Shock literally had an episode about racism.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like that video got so many dislikes. And it got many people covering him. Of course, from the most well-known is Cartoonish. But yeah, like and like he was still doubling down on Twitter as well. So yeah, Asker, whatever you're doing with your career right now, your video sucked. And it sucked hard. Back to A New Wish. A New Wish was probably probably the best this franchise has ever received in a long time. Oof.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Some aspects of the show are able to are blink it and you'll miss it moments. Though the episodes got finished presumably around 2023, so I don't hold this against the show all that much, but some episodes were storyboarded by Kyle A. Carrozza.
Oh, yeah.
He's probably the one downside of this series. Although, as you said, if I ever do, I'm probably not going to hold that against this show. I'm just going to not credit him as anything.
Right. It's not like
Yeah.
he's the creator or something.
I mean,
Or the
he was the
showrunner.
creator. I mean, he was the creator of Mighty Magiswords, and thinking back on that show, there were some jokes that have aged like milk tremendously.
I couldn't get it. I never got into the show, but I saw this one joke, and I'm like, first of all, there's this character that has a disdain for pants, and it's not like it's a running gag with her, not just her wardrobe choice. And there are jokes about it, and there's this one. There are jokes. Yeah, they hit a bit
Yeah.
differently now.
Yep. And yeah. And how did Nickelodeon treat this show?
They treated it abysmally. They decided to burn off episodes throughout the entirety of the summer of 2024.
Congratulations, Nickelodeon. You continue to be dumb fucks. Then again, 2024.
According to a tweet or article that I've seen, the show was not canceled. It's just on hiatus. But regardless, yeah, they treated this show horribly.
2024 was the year where Nickelodeon's reputation officially died because they got exposed.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Nickelodeon continues to be a shit network that hates it, that apparently would rather hate it on its own shows.
By the way, Chilbion, I remember watching Mighty Magiswords back in the day, and I didn't hate it, but one of my biggest problems with the show is the audio. All of the audio in this show feels like it was sped up in a video editor.
So yeah, that is practically Fairly Odd Parents. And I think we can finally sum up our final thoughts on this show.
Fairly Odd Parents started off pretty strong, but the show it's the definition of one of those shows that needed to find a good point to end, and it overstayed its welcome. Like, I'd even argue that it stated its welcome far more than SpongeBob even. Like,
Yeah.
SpongeBob is a timeless show that you can do plenty of things with, but Fairly Odd Parents just did not know what to do with itself, like, at all. Like, they thought that in order to keep the show fresh, that they could introduce new characters into the show and reference modern technology. Just no.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it started off strong and for 5 seasons, but gradually started to decline. It was around okay to mediocre to bad. Like, it started off okay in just 6 and 6, from mediocre to 7 and 8 to bad in season 9 to abysmal in season 10, and they had hit rock bottom with Fairly Odder.
But they climb. Fairly Odd Parents: A New Wish made it climb up again. But it's too bad that Nickelodeon mistreated the show.
Yep. So even when it had a small glimmer of hope with A New Wish, Nickelodeon made sure to kill it.
Mm-hmm.
So really, because nothing new has came out of A New Wish since from 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's April now. It's April of 2026, and the show has not had a new episode since August of 2024.
Heck, it never even had a new announcement for an entire year. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was canceled.
Though from what I've been hearing, it's just on hiatus, but we'll have to see about that. Though
that's
with
the case,
the Skydance merger, I doubt that those plans will go through. By the way, truck you Skydance for desperately trying to buy out Warner Brothers, and when Warner Brothers has no other choice, they have to merge with you.
Mm-hmm.
and furthermore, fuck John Lasseter as well. Considering that he's the head of Skydance Animation,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Oh, sure, I cannot wait for when he takes over Nickelodeon.
Oh no!
That'd be a horrible thought. Like,
Though to be fair, Nickelodeon was already had a bad reputation with itself before Skydance bought them out.
I like to remind you that in 2024, 2 years ago, they were pretty much exposed for having a horrible environment. After they got exposed on that Quiet on Set documentary.
By the way, highlighting your comment, Netflix decided to decline WB. WB has no other choice than to merge with Paramount.
Oh no! I mean, I have beef with Netflix, but between Paramount and Skydance getting Warner Brothers, I would prefer Netflix getting Warner Brothers.
Not that it would be a win. I like to remind you that they said yes to cuties.
Right, and other things. Like, it would not be a win.
Yeah, although thankfully, at least we don't go down Mr. Horse's level.
Where he basically says he went as far as to wish that an entire studio would get nuked by aircraft missiles because of a fart joke in The Land Before Time.
Yeah.
I don't want any mergers in general, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, no, zero, zip, zada. I mean, just look at with Disney. Like, I realized this when I saw Hoppers. I saw a trailer for the live-action Moana remake. Yuck. A trailer for the Mandalorian remake, and then all these other stuff that Disney owns. If Disney owns everything, like, I miss the days, like, when, more people had, different ownerships of stuff.
Yup, they already went out of the way and bought Fox.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Fairly Odd Parents is a show that, despite having a lot of nostalgia for, and we do, it's how it became is going to be one of the biggest cautionary tales in cartoon history.
Plus, even though we did like this show, there are Nicktoons out there that did age better than have aged better than the Fairly Odd Parents. Obvious one being SpongeBob, but there's also Rocko's Modern Life, Jimmy Neutron, and My Life as a Teenage Robot.
Heck, Back at the Barnyard aged better than Fairly Odd Parents because it's gained a cult following and people gained a new appreciation for it, with the memes and for how crazy it was in the later season. Which, from what I recall, take this with a grain of salt, I can't confirm it. I read a comment that said the reason this show got so off the rails later on was the showrunner's way of giving Nickelodeon the middle finger for getting canceled. So they just figured, hey, we're going to go all crazy. And it actually worked, from being grounded to being more crazy.
Yeah.
Unlike the State of the Loud House. Plus, it gave us one of the best Weird Al appearances in a show. You just messed with the wrong Grammy winner.
By the way, and don't forget, Jimmy Neutron has the memes with Hugh Neutron and Carl Weezer. Donut boy, you got a creepy feeling. No, this is the scene where you get lost.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this show is definitely going to Fairly Odd Parents will forever serve, and as well as Butch Harmon will forever there's like 3 cautionary tales from the show, Butch Hartman, and Nickelodeon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Nickelodeon shows that either your show will get trucked over, or it will basically be milked to the end of time before another successful show comes in, and that show is finally canceled. Like it happened with Rugrats, where that show was run into the ground, and then Fairly OddParents came in, and Rugrats was finally put out of its misery. Then Fairly OddParents was run into the ground before the Loud House came in, and Fairly OddParents was finally put out of its misery. And at the moment, we don't know if another show will be successful and finally put the Loud House out of its misery yet.
Yep, and the cautionary tales from this show nowhere to end.
And furthermore, Butch Hartman, Butch Hartman, if you you need to, if you really wanted to work on another show for Nickelodeon, you should have just pitched another show instead of continuing Fairly OddParents.
Mm-hmm.
And furthermore, Butch Hartman will forever serve as a cautionary tale of what happens when a creator continues to get more and more control of its creation until it becomes a flaming pile of poop and they're filled with their own ego.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And to this day, Butch Hartman still has an ego that has yet to be deflated.
I said it once, and I'll say it again. George Lucas is not only a better human, but also a better creator than J.K. Rowling and Butch Hartman.
Yeah, Butch Hartman literally had the greatest thing ever, a garden cartoon movie screened in a theater, which he bragged about on his on his Instagram.
Remember when Butch Hartman said that the Teen Titans Go movie would be the emoji movie of 2018?
Yeah, Butch. Teen Titans Go to the movies ran circles around your own movie.
Mm-hmm.
At least the Teen Titans Go movie was actually a movie. And at least it was able to get an upgrade on the backgrounds.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, you can't make good content to save your life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all for our thoughts on the Fairly OddParents. For the next show we're gonna tackle, it's a bit of a stretch. I'm still trying to find which show to tackle next. But I did, however, finish Ed, Edd and Eddy, so who knows?
Plan to revisit that show sometime. I remember watching some episodes of it, which
I'm
I
a
have
moose
some things
double
to
D.
say that is cool details.
I'm a moose double D.
So yeah, for the next show we'll tackle, I did finish Ed and Eddy. I may do like a different kind of Cartoonish Cartooncast episode for the Loud House, where we're not going to go over every season.
Glad you still like Rowling Feather Guardian, like Harry Potter Feather Guardian. If you do, more to you.
Yeah, like for some options, maybe either Ed and Eddy, or maybe a best and worst Loud House episodes of those seasons, or heck, hopefully in either June or July we may tackle the Toy Story franchise.
Mm-hmm. Given that the fifth and to be honest, pointless Toy Story 5 is coming out then.
Yeah, it ended at
3.
Yep, at 3.
So with that out of the way, see you next time. Adios.
See ya.
See ya.